part 3 of government nonsense I'm dealing with right now. So 4 years ago, 4 years plus, in July 5th of 2019, I bought 4.63 acres. Before I bought that land, this is in Kennedale, this is in my neighborhood. Before I bought that land, I went to the building inspector and I said, hey, I just, in this same neighborhood, built a house, built another house, built another house, built another house, and remodeled 2 other ones. I had to replat the one right across the street. It cost me $2,500 and it took a couple weeks. I'm gonna have to subdivide this land from 1 piece of land into 10 houses. And then I'll build 10 houses here. Is there anything I should know before I buy this land? Let's have a meeting. I'm like, let's have a meeting. So I show up. Everybody that works at the city that matters is at this meeting. There's 11 people sitting around this table. I hold up a piece of paper and I say, this is my land. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna subdivide it like this. This is what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna put houses here. They're gonna look like this. I've made these houses in this neighborhood. This is how it's gonna look. Is there gonna be any problem before I buy this land? No problem whatsoever. We're happy to be working with you. We're happy that you're here. We want you here. You're gonna bring taxes and people and all the things. I'm like, good. No worries. And one person pipes up and she goes, well, you're gonna need to have the water drainage study. I'm like, what does that mean? She goes, you have to have an engineer draw it up and they know what they're talking about. It's like a 1-page piece of paper. I'm like, how difficult is this? It's just, it's a formality. Just get an engineer to do it. Like, what kind of engineer? A civil engineer. I'm like, whatever. So I can buy this land. We're not gonna have any problems. Nope, no problems. Go ahead and buy it. So I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay, to buy this land. And I'm like, cool, I just want to replat this. They're like, get your surveyor. I got the surveyor. He looked into all the laws. We sat down, we did all the math. Like, how many houses can we get in here? How can we make this thing work? We did it all by their laws, by their guidelines. And they're like, okay, cool. And we turn it in. And then they go, well, you're gonna need to have the drainage study. I'm like, cool. So I pay a civil engineer. He gives me a drainage study. I turn that in. They go, this is wrong. But it takes weeks, for them to respond. This is wrong. I'm like, do you want to be more specific? Because wrong is a very vague term. Like, should I just burn the whole thing and start over? Or like, how wrong is it? And I covered the whole thing in red ink. And I show my engineer and he goes, I quit. I'm like, all right, great. So I take it to another engineer. But first I said, look, you guys are an engineering company because they're a third party, right? Which means that there's the city who has hired a private company who gets paid every time there's a problem to review my documents. How many times have they reviewed my documents now? 24. They have kicked back my documents 24 times on this one thing. They have charged me so far $26,000 in review fees to look at my engineer's documents. A certified engineer who puts his stamp on it and says, I certified this is good, and I put my name on it. And I, as the developer and I, as the owner, say, I put my name on it, boom. And I'm the one that's liable for everything. And they go, no, there's some problems here. Where it says Kennedale, you need to write City of Kennedale. There's a rip in the matrix somewhere here. This is a foot higher than that and whatever. And I'm just like, can we just get past this? 24 times, 4 years and 2 months later, I'm still not subdivided. But that's not all. Along the way, they're like, you need to have a tree survey. I'm like, there's no trees. They send me a Google image of my land, and underneath the power lines, there's brush, junk, garbage, right? Just overgrowth that technically they're responsible for cleaning up. And they circle that and they go, what are all this? So I'm like, fine. So I get my surveyor and he goes, what diameter and what species? We look it up on the website, nothing. We go up in person, nothing. We ask, we call, nobody knows. So we just make up whatever in the world because there's no trees on it anyway, so what difference does it make? So there are like 2 trees that are on, there's a house that's already there. And I'm like, I'm not touching those anyway. So I turn that in. That's not good enough. I'm like, okay. We get past that. Now we need a traffic impact analysis study. I'm like, for 10 houses in a dead-end road, on a dead-end road in a neighborhood that's been here for 75 years, you need me to do a traffic analysis study. Yeah, to figure out the impact of your houses. I'm like, well, I can already tell you what it's gonna be. Like, you could stand here for hours. I mean, this entire time, not one car has passed by because it's not a high traffic area. It's a dead-end neighborhood. There's 75 houses in this whole place, and 10 more is not gonna make it any more alive. Not enough that's gonna matter, especially when Dick Price Road is out here, and it's a 2-lane road, okay? Right across the street from the dump, right across the street from all kind of industry, and there's 18-wheelers and dump trucks constantly on there, and that road is the same width as this one. But then they said, I've gotta make my roads bigger. okay? Because they're only 22 feet, they need to be 28 feet. So I need to pay $5.4 million to upgrade 3 roads in my neighborhood. This is an established neighborhood. I'm not putting anything new in except for houses along a street that already exists, that already has power, that already has water, that already has sewer, okay? When I go to my traffic impact analysis guy, he says, yeah, it's a minimum, whatever. And when he looks at it, he says, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna charge you less than the minimum. This is ridiculous. I'm like, no kidding. So then, that's not all. Then I have to put in my own manhole. And they say, because the sewer in the street is 17 feet deep, their sewer, I have to put in a manhole at my cost and tap into that. And then I have to spend another $100,000 to put in 8-inch pipe everywhere for sewers that I will never get paid a penny for, because their stuff is not up to code, but my stuff has to be. So I'm gonna put an 8-inch line into their 6-inch line, and somehow that makes sense. Because, you know, one day they won't have to pay for my part, they'll just have to pay for everybody else's part. They also want curb and gutter everywhere. They want storm drain. In my city, okay, my city is 6 square miles. It's 7,900 people. Almost nobody has curb and gutter or storm drain. The main roads don't have curb and gutter and storm drain. Nothing in my neighborhood, nothing south of the railroad tracks has it. However, I have to pay to have all that stuff put in just on my 10 houses, which connects to nothing on either side, and sidewalks, which connects to nothing on either side, okay? They continue over and over and over. They have shut me down. I can't tell you how many times. I've come out and done dirt work because they said I could do dirt work. I dug a lake because they said I could dig a lake. I spent $100,000 on that, and that's with me doing the work, okay? They continue to shut me down every chance I get to do something, like, no. There's another fee, there's another fee, there's another fee. And then the impact fees. Let's talk about the impact fees for a second. So what is an impact fee for those of you that don't know? An impact fee is this, okay? Let's say that I'm gonna build 6 Flags, and therefore that is gonna have an impact on the community, on the infrastructure, on the sewage, on the water, on the roads. All kinds of things are gonna be impacted because this is a large structure that now we're gonna have to accommodate for. So they pay an impact fee that is appropriate to the size of their thing. If I'm gonna build a skyscraper or a mall or anything like that, you're like, hey, some engineers have to get involved in that. I understand that. I'm building 10 houses in an established neighborhood. My impact fees are $289,000. That's what I have to pay them just to have permission to start. That doesn't include my building permits. That doesn't include the $100,000 that I spent for a lake, the $100,000 that I'm spending for 8-inch sewer lines, all the money that I'm spending on traffic impact analysis, tree surveys for something that has no trees. I've given basically every test you can give except for pregnancy tests, and at this point, I'm ready to pee on a stick. I don't even care. I just want my project to get going because it is driving me insane. And I'd love to say this is because these particular people are horrible, which I'm not disagreeing with, okay? Now, there's some decent people involved that all say, I'm sorry, sir, we're doing everything we can, and then nothing really gets done, okay? But it's everything government that I've ever experienced has been like this. Literally everything government that I've ever experienced has been just one thing after another of like, well, somewhere there's a rule that says, and then they say things like this. Well, there's a reason the law is there. And I'm like, it's a dumb reason. Like, there should be common sense. There should be a common sense clause in every law that goes, we know that it doesn't really apply to this, therefore we're not gonna mess you up over this because it's nonsense. And I have fallen through every crack along the way in every one of these projects, and I'm exhausted, okay? This is in addition to writing books, playing music 4 to 6 times a week, sometimes more. I had a 10-day streak where I played 11 shows, going to church, going on mission trips, helping people out constantly, all the other things that I do, you know, that's in addition to all this. And other projects that I do, making t-shirts, you name it. And so I'm pretty tired right now. I'm pretty tired of the government getting involved. If they just said, boo, you can do your job, I would have a resurgence of energy. Like, I have waited so long. I've tried so hard not to share this with everybody, but here I am. So now you know what I'm dealing with. Love you guys.